build. Okay, what are the worst switches I have? What are the worst keycaps I have? What's the worst case I have? Okay, this isn't it. Okay, we're gonna put this aside for the now. Okay, put this aside. Okay, I want to show you guys something that I have that is definitely the worst of the worst of things on my. Are you ready for the worst keyboard that I built with what I have? Are you ready? This right here is the worst keyboard I have ever built. What is the specs of the keyboard, you may be wondering? Okay, I'm using a cheapy Chinese plastic tree mount case. Okay, on top of that, I got a 60% old PCB with north-facing switches, north-facing LEDs. Okay, next on top of that, you know, when you use bad switches, plate, stainless steel plate. What's the worst switch manufacturer available right now? Otemu, right? So I used Otemu switches because Otemu switches suck. So I'm like, okay, what's the worst switches I have? Otemu. And I got these really bad PBT double shot keycaps from KBD fans a long time ago, which, as you guys have seen through this, they don't even want to stay to the keycaps. Like if I put them upside down, I just give a little. Yeah, that's this is the worst keyboard I've built.
So the question is, how did I get to this point? Let's go over the build.
Okay, it's time to build this keyboard. So I also got off camera some really crappy stabs, like some super Chinesium stabs. So let's just get this holding together. Got my PCB, got my plate, and got my switches. So I decided, yes, I'm going to use stabs. Technically, if I want to make the worst thing, I should be using stabs. But the worst thing would be a non-functional board, and we do want a functional board at the end of this. So I am going to use stabs, but let me just grab my soldering stuff. I'm not going to lube the stabilizers. We don't need to lube the stabilizers. We're going for bad. Functional, bad. Okay, so let's stab it up. So I'm just going to do a standard split spacebar ANSI layout and call it a day. I think that's going to be the plan of games. The game plan, if you will. And I'm going to do split right shift and split spacebar to cut down on the amount of stabs I need to use. Because I am, not going to lie, maybe a little bit lazy when it comes to this build, since I'm trying to build something that's going to be objectively bad. How bad is it going to actually be? I don't know. I think there might be some people out there who are like, it'll be acceptable. It's not going to be acceptable. These switches are painful. Like, why do these exist? They don't fit well in most plates. They don't sound good. They don't feel good. They're stiff. They're uncomfortable. Like, using these switches, how do I describe it? It's an uncomfortableness, kind of like when you're trying to wash sand off your feet at the beach, but since you're at the beach, there's just more sand, so you constantly just feel wet sand on your foot when you don't want to feel wet sand. You know, like you clean your feet at the beach to try to get the sand off, then you put your sock on, and then there's just wet sand in your sock now, and you're like, well, I guess this is my life for a little bit. Otemu. If you ever want to build a bad keyboard, just use Otemu switches. You can't go right if you use Otemu manufactured switches. I'm sure there are people out there who are like, no, they're fine. No, they're not. I don't think they're fine. I don't think so at all. Like, some people will be like, oh, but Huey, Otemus, they have their flaws, but they have character. They're like the Alfa Romeo of Switch. No, they're not. Absolutely not. There's no redeeming charm to these switches in any way. No. No. Okay, let's put these in. Let's go for it. I wonder what I did in my life to deserve this kind of challenge upon myself. Oh, right, boredom. Would this have been worse if I used a hot swap PCB? It would have definitely taken me less time for this build, since I wouldn't have to solder. These keycaps are bad, and you're going to see firsthand how bad these are on this board. Oh boy, let's get to it. Oh, that's why these are so bad. Look. Nice. This is the perfect thing I need to make a truly bad build. So I may have cocked up a little bit. I just realized this set probably doesn't have the proper compatibility for what I need. We're just gonna go ahead and go with this anyways. So as I'm putting keycaps in, I realize one of the reasons that these keycaps are so bad is they don't like staying on the switches. And that's going to be a bit of an issue. This may be a horrible board, but I'm still going to use magnetic screws because I'm a civilized man who lives in a civilized world. How does this keyboard type? Would it sound good? Would it sound bad? It's going to sound bad. The question is, how bad?
It sounds like that. And this is it right here. This is the worst keyboard I can build.
When you're typing on this board, nothing invokes confidence. Nothing invokes reassurance, because you know if you graze the keycap just wrong as you lift up your finger, you'll be pulling off a whole keycap. And that itself is an issue. And if you can't type confidently, you're not going to type comfortably. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the worst board I can build. Yep, it's the worst board, all right. Overall, I think this keyboard sounds bad and feels bad. I don't know why I invoked this challenge upon myself, but I did, and this is the board for all it's worth, for better or for worse. This board truly is an abomination to mechanical keyboards.